What is good, Defenders Nation? Welcome to One More Sleep, and this is a big one. Season 8, the Ocho. We know we opened up CONCACAF Champions Cup, but this is finally the chance to begin the road to MLS Cup. That's right. Our home opener, our season opener for 2025 is upon us, and the Loons visiting LAFC at BMO Stadium on what is going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon, 1:30 p.m. kickoff. But a lot of you are going to get there a lot earlier, a whole lot earlier, because, of course, they're giving away some Denis Bouanga bobbleheads, folks. That's right. Our third ever bobblehead in team history. Bob Bradley, Carlos Vela, and now Denis Bouanga. Ruben, LAFC vet, love you guys too. Welcome to One More Sleep. It's the night before a match, so you know what time it is. One More Sleep here on Defenders of the Bank, and we are ready to roll. Of course, we've got Philly getting ready to call a game on the Spectrum Network tomorrow for UC Riverside, which will be a lot of fun. Chris Lafferty is currently... It's kind of mean of him, but he is currently sitting at Philippe's, probably eating a double dip lamb dip sandwich, which is my favorite thing to order when I am at Philippe's. And of course, you got to get the pickle. But it's a solo scarf endeavor here on One More Sleep. And again, just want to remind everybody. Oh, Ben, maybe tomorrow. Want to remind everybody that the kickoff is earlier, 1:30. And the best part is because they moved back Inter Miami's game tomorrow, LAFC is actually the first 2025 MLS regular season game on the schedule. We are live at Fox on Fox Channel 11, I believe, as well as Apple TV, of course. So make sure you get your Apple TV. Oh, I got to put this comment up there. I don't know, Carlos. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Make sure you get your Apple TV subscription all sorted out. Make sure if you're at T-Mobile, they're giving away a free MLS season pass. I know season ticket holders also get a free MLS season pass as well, or at least they have in seasons past. They haven't said anything yet. But yes, we are up. We are the first match of the year on Apple TV. And, of course, on Fox, again, 1:30 at BMO Stadium. So get ready. So happy that the Ocho is underway. Carlos Vela in the chat asking if he'll get re-signed. So there's that. MS Casio is headed to Philippe's right now. I'm jealous, you guys. This is it's not easy on the stomach to not be at Philippe's, but you know what? We'll do what we got to do. And again, look, for all of you that are just joining for the first time here on One More Sleep in the 2025 season, you guys know what the turnover has been like this season. Murillo, Campos, Atuesta, O'Brien, Duenas, Camara, Bogusz, Oliveira. I mean, there's so many players who are gone and so many players who need to prove themselves this season, right? With Olivier Giroud, obviously, at the top of everybody's list. But David Martinez and Nathan Ordaz, if they are going to get significant minutes, or maybe sometime soon, this is why we bring in a player like Cengiz Ünder. Obviously, a lot of nuance to that signing. We talked about that on our last episode. If you want to hear why, please listen to our last episode, 342, where we did talk about Cengiz Ünder just a little bit. I don't believe he'll be available tomorrow. Haven't heard anything for sure. If he is, hey, maybe he'll get some run. We'll see. First game at BMO. But obviously, between replacing the goals that left us, 51 goals left us, only 47 remain from last season. There's an awful lot to replace. Igor Jesus, we got to see him with the keys to the number 6 role in that match. And I thought he played, pretty well. Didn't quite have the impact in Colorado, but you know what? It was flipping cold, everybody. It was 2 degrees there in Colorado. And I really stress, while there was plenty of the match where we didn't look good, and a huge relief that Captain Aaron Long was able to get us on the board with that goal in the 87th minute. don't take away too much from a game played in 2-degree weather with so-so footing. We're definitely a much faster team than we looked. At least I hope that we are. We looked like we were a little slow. I'll talk about that in our keys to the match. But it is going to be interesting getting everybody back at BMO Stadium. So good evening to everybody in the chat. Let's talk just a little bit about this Minnesota United club that will be coming to BMO Stadium to play at 1:30. LAFC, 4 wins, 3 losses, 5 draws in 12 matches all time against Minnesota. But at home, a much better story. In fact, all of our wins coming at home. 4 wins, just 1 loss and a draw in 6 opportunities. 4 wins, 1 loss, and a draw versus Minnesota at BMO all time. And last season was Minnesota United's, honestly, their best season in a lot of different ways. 15 wins on the campaign, 12 losses, 7 draws, 6th in the West, 52 points. So 1 spot ahead of Colorado, who we played last match, obviously. Their 58 goals scored were a club record for goals scored in a season last year for Minnesota United. I am predicting that number to go up. That's right, up this year from 58 goals. And their road record, they had 8 wins and 3 draws on the road to give them 27 points on the road. That is a new Minnesota United record for them as well. So coming in confident in the way that they can play on the road. But again, 4-1-1 is LAFC against Minnesota at BMO Stadium. And the biggest thing, the biggest player who left Minnesota in the last year, it is no Pookie, no party in Minnesota anymore. Teemu Pukki gone. 14 goals in 42 matches in his Minnesota United career. He, of course, Finland's all-time leading scorer and a player who's really fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching Teemu Pukki, obviously formerly of Norwich. So he's gone. But unfortunately, they brought in a guy who we're going to talk about in a little bit, who I am predicting, and this is Scarf talking here. Obviously, I'm the only one on screen. I am predicting this player for Minnesota United. He's going to be my player to watch, to challenge for the Golden Boot next year. I think it is going to take more than Christian Benteke's 23 he scored last year. 23 he scored last year. I really do think this player for Minnesota is going to be battling Benteke and Bouanga for the Golden Boot by the end of the season. Something to talk about for the Minnesota Loons is their head coach, Eric Ramsey. Eric Ramsey, the youngest permanent head coach in Major League Soccer history. He is 33 years old right now. That's right. The head man for Minnesota United is 33 years old right now. To think about the body of work that this young kid has already put in is pretty amazing. He worked at Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, under Ralf Rangnick, and under Erik ten Hag until Minnesota was able to pry him away from being an assistant coach at Manchester United. And we all remember his debut match was a 2-0 Minnesota against LAFC, March 16th. This young head coach, Eric Ramsey, is as good as it may get in Major League Soccer, and he's only coached a full season. They finished the stretch 6-1-1 to storm into 6th place, where they upset Real Salt Lake on their way to losing to Carson, as Carson, of course, made it all the way through and was able to hoist MLS Cup. So I'm telling you guys, this is a very, very, very good club. And honestly, it's in large part to Eric Ramsey, the 33-year-old head coach. Now we know who they have in goal. In goal is one of the best keepers in all of Major League Soccer, Dane St. Clair. He seemed to take that half step forward that they have wanted him to take. Dane St. Clair, obviously the Canadian men's national team player who continues to battle Maxime Crepeau for the top spot, but it looks like Dane St. Clair getting closer and closer to wrestling that permanent top spot for El Maple Tree away from Maxime Crepeau. They've got a very good new center back in Nicolas Romero, the 21-year-old Argentinian. He is new to the roster, and Nico Romero is very, very good. Keep your eye on this center back, Nicolas Romero from Argentina. We were able to watch Joseph Rosales, their left back, play last year. And from the left back position, all Joseph Rosales did was create 11 assists last year. Again, that is a left back creating 11 assists. The Honduran kid, Joseph Rosales, very, very good. It kind of starts and ends with Michael Boxall at center back, the 36-year-old captain for Minnesota United. His 240 caps across all competitions for Minnesota is number one all time by almost 80 caps. He has worn that Loons shirt better and more than any player in Minnesota history. Really like Michael Boxall as like a franchise player for them. And just he's made of something different, man. He is a big dude. He is a very big dude. In the midfield, they have two excellent midfielders in Hassani Dotson and, of course, Robin Lod. All Robin Lod did last year, easy for me to say, is create 15 assists. So you're talking between Joseph Rosales and Robin Lod, you're talking about 26 assists between two players. And they're left back and midfielders. So something to watch there for Minnesota United as they get going. Of course, at the forward spot, one of my favorite names in all of Major League Soccer, Bongo Kule Hlongwane. They call him Bongi. Bongi Hlongwane, 28 goals in his last 75 games. And he appears, we do have Dotson here, he appears to be ready to maybe take that next step. Him and Sangbin Jong are going to get the majority of minutes up top. But my player to watch is a player that we are going to talk about in just a second. Not Bongi Hlongwane, not Sangbin Jong. I'm telling you, it's going to be a handful when we talk about this player on Minnesota United. In fact, let's get right to it. Let's talk about my players to watch in this one. Listen, everybody, it's his bobblehead night. Denis Bouanga is going to perform on his bobblehead night. I just think he is going to be electric. I can absolutely see him scoring at least one, if not two, on his bobblehead night. And again, everybody, 15,000 bobbleheads being given away. So I don't know how you're all going to get one, but if you see somebody walking out with a bag of like 5 or 6 of them, just tackle the person. No, don't do that. I don't really mean that. But they shouldn't have 5 or 6. It's absolutely ridiculous. Unless they have 5 or 6 tickets and 5 or 6 people walking out with them. I don't want to see something like that happen again this year. We saw that happen. But look, we'll get into the Olivier Giroud stuff in just a second. I want to talk about that too. But Denis Bouanga on his bobblehead night, you guys have to think that he is going to put up a special performance. I absolutely love Denis Bouanga and his ability to – oh, goodness. Carlos Vela is in the chat and he's promoting himself, which is my favorite thing ever. I absolutely love his ability to score from anywhere on the pitch. So I'm saying at least a goal or two from Denis Bouanga. And everybody remember this name, Kelvin Yeboah. All Kelvin Yeboah did last season, at just 24 years old was take MLS by storm. And you might be thinking, that's weird. I didn't hear about Kelvin Yeboah all season. I heard about Benteke. I know Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez and Denis Bouanga and obviously Lucho Acosta and Cucho and all these other guys. Who the heck is Kelvin Yeboah? Well, Kelvin Yeboah came over July 2024, and in 12 matches, including 3 playoff matches, in 12 matches, all he did was have 12 goal contributions, 9 goals and 3 assists, 9 goals and 3 assists in 12 matches. And now he's got the offense under his belt. He's got an offseason to train and work with Eric Ramsey. And I know they haven't looked great in preseason, but why are you going to show what your offense can do in the preseason? This kid, Kelvin Yeboah, is very, very good. And I think he is going to be a problem, not just for LAFC this season, but for the league. I predict that he will challenge for the Golden Boot before this season is done. So let's get into the keys to the match. I've got 2, and the first of which is we need to continue to dominate open play. And I know what you're thinking. I don't know that we dominated open play last match. I don't know that we necessarily dominated open play in that 2-degree frozen tundra of Commerce City, Colorado. But here's what I do know. Colorado did not score a goal during open play. They scored a goal on a penalty kick. And look, it looks like the penalty was the right call there, unfortunately, for Ryan Hollingshead. It absolutely looks like that was the right call. But they scored a goal off a PK, and, you know, that's a 50-50 proposition with the keeper. I don't fault Hugo Lloris for diving to one side because that's how you stay warm out there. But the second goal was off of an absolute banger and is one of the nicest goals that you will ever see from Djordje Mihailovic. Top bins on a set piece from a very, very dangerous position. Dangerous position. So we're giving up a couple goals on set pieces, on a free kick and on a penalty shot, but we're not giving up goals during open play. Now, I think that in order to continue to dominate open play, you have to take into account my second key to the match, which is that we have to play a half step faster than we did last match. And I don't want to hear the excuse that it was 4 degrees and our players were tired. You know what? It was the same 4 degrees for the other club, Colorado. And they came out and they played a little bit faster than we did. They played a little bit more aggressive than we did. I think really until we went down a goal, and definitely after we went down 2 goals, we really picked up our pace a little bit. But until we went down a goal, we looked a half a step slow. We looked a half a step off. And honestly, I think come BMO Stadium tomorrow at 1:30, we'll be back in the friendly confines. It'll be 70 degrees and sunny. It's going to show me a lot if LAFC looks a half step slow yet again. I think that's going to be a little bit troubling. But we have, luckily, the home cooking to our advantage by playing at BMO Stadium in beautiful weather. So I think we need to pick it up a little bit. We need to play a half a step faster. And look, I would absolutely love, you guys, love to have a key to the match to be to incorporate Olivier Giroud a little bit better or a little bit more into the match. But I think Olivier's got to do a little bit more on his end as well. He had 19 total touches in his 66 or 67 minutes or so last match. 19 total touches, but just 2 in the opponent's box. I think he's got to get a little bit more aggressive. And I think that we do need to try and find him a little bit. But if David Martinez, if Nathan Ordaz, if obviously Denis Bouanga, or any of our other offensive-minded players have the ball moving forward, as long as Olivier Giroud stays on side and makes himself part of the attack, then I think we'll be fine. Something that we also saw was a lot of set pieces from Denis Bouanga last match. We do need to get a little bit better service from Denis Bouanga as well, as it wasn't until about the 60th minute that he really had a set piece that was put into a dangerous spot. We can't give up 4, 5, 6, 7 different set pieces and not use them well. Sorry, we got Denis Bouanga now in the chat. as well. You guys, this is pretty funny. It's a star-studded chat between Carlos Vela and Denis Bouanga in the chat. So Denis is asking for Carlos Vela to come back. Carlos Vela throwing a little shade Denis' way by saying that his bobblehead was better. Who knows? Who knows? But the chat is lively tonight. And I do, look, it'll be interesting what Q Cardi is saying here. We're going to talk about the Cengiz Ünder move in just a second after we get through this last little bit here. Let's get into my score prediction, and then we'll talk about Cengiz Ünder and how he can possibly help. Here we go. 3-1 LAFC. That's right. I think we're going to get the engine rolling. I think that we are going to get our midfield linked up with our front line. I think that it is going to be a very good night for Denis Bouanga. I think that he's going to have at least a goal and an assist, if not 2 goals and an assist. It's his bobblehead night. I absolutely think LAFC wants to come out on the front foot. And may I remind everybody, LAFC's season opener record in 7 season openers, no matter where we played them, on the road, or at home, LAFC is 7-0-0. That's right. LAFC has never lost an MLS season opener. And I do not believe that the Loons of Minnesota, as currently constructed, even as poor as we looked sometimes in that match against Colorado, I do not believe that Minnesota is going to end the streak like The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I believe the streak will continue. It is going to go to 8-0-0, and I think it is going to be 3-1 LAFC, because I'm telling you, this kid, Kelvin Yeboah, is fun to watch. Jacob, appreciate you, brother. And look, I talked about Georgi Mihailovic last match, and the dude was an absolute stunner for Colorado. I think that it's going to be a little bit less of the same, but certainly we're going to see a special player in Kelvin Yeboah. And I think that he is he's going to get our attention for most of the match on offense. But I do believe Denis Bouanga on his bobblehead night. It's going to be a big day for Denis Bouanga. Denis, you're in the chat, so I'm predicting that you're going to score. I think it's going to be lots of fun. I've got 3-1 LAFC. Real quick, let's talk about the Cengiz Ünder move. It is official. We now have a 3rd designated player for the first time since 2021. What an odd situation it's been with LAFC and 3 DPs, or the lack of 3 DPs, over the majority of our 7 seasons in Major League Soccer. But Cengiz Ünder coming in as a designated player, the contract runs 6 months with an option to buy. I'm sure that John Thorrington and the powers that be over at Fenerbahce can figure out how to extend the loan for another 6 months if it's going well. Maybe he's a 6th-month designated player placeholder for one Antoine Griezmann. You'd have to ask our buddy Carlos Vela there in the chat. I'm hoping that we're able to get Antoine and we're able to figure all this out. But Cengiz Ünder, he's got some goal-scoring prowess. He's got good touch on the ball. So maybe he'll be able to be the one that feeds Olivier Giroud. But come on. Again, I'll say it over and over again. Kai Kamara is the 2nd leading scorer in Major League Soccer history, off of a lot of set pieces and a lot of headers and a lot of really aggressive play on some bad balls. So I think if he just watches Kai Kamara's entire career, Olivier Giroud, I'm not saying that Olivier Giroud can really learn all that much from Kai Kamara about how to score goals. The guy is world class. But maybe he needs to watch Kai Kamara in terms of what he needs to do to put himself in a better position to score goals here in Major League Soccer if the service isn't 100% perfect. Because you know what? It's sometimes not 100% perfect. That being said, I've got 3-1. I saw 3-0 in the chat. Please let me know what you think tomorrow's scoreline is going to be. It's an early one. 1:30 tomorrow at BMO Stadium. What's a good goal contribution to trigger Under's $25 million purchase clause? I'm going to say none. I don't think LAFC wants to trigger that purchase clause. I think $25 million is way too much for a player like Cengiz Ünder. But that could just be me. People could be laughing at me and going, are you kidding? Cengiz Ünder is a world-class goal scorer. I don't know how many of you out there are going to argue that right now. Cengiz Ünder is definitely a fantastic goal scorer. And if you read any of the stuff on social media, they're absolutely excited at Fenerbahce, at Roma, because Roma earns part of the sell-on from Fenerbahce. If he does trigger that clause, Roma's really excited about what's going on with the contract. They don't want him. And look, to me, I'm not putting all my eggs in the Antoine Griezmann basket, but in, let's say 15, let's say, what are we going to be at? Like 20 matches before we hit that window. If he's got 15 goals and 5 assists, you got to start thinking about it. If he's got a goal contribution per match and he's scoring more than he's doing other things. But what I would also want to see is, how does he fit with players like Denis Bouanga, with players like Olivier Giroud? Are we still able to develop David Martinez? What happens with Nathan Ordaz? Lots of things up top. I want to see how all the pieces fit together first, right? Because I think what we've seen so far, and we don't need to kid ourselves about this, what we've seen so far is that the Olivier Giroud move has not been a good fit so far. So far. I have said, give him the first 10 matches of the season. Give him the first 10 matches of the season, and then we can go back and reassess the Olivier Giroud move, because so far it's not good. But I think it'll get better. I hope it'll get better. It needs to get better. It needs to get better. So we'll see how that goes. All right, y'all. I've got 3-1. It's an early morning tomorrow at BMO Stadium, 1:30. You guys are going to get there for the bobblehead. I love you all. And you guys know, hit us up in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. Oh, now Olivier Giroud is in the chat. There we go. Olivier says he's going to break out this season. You guys, we had Carlos Vela here in the chat tonight. We had Denis Bouanga here in the chat tonight. We had, just a star-studded chat. But again, don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I love all of you guys out there. Thank you so much for tuning in to One More Sleep. Tomorrow, LAFC will topple the Loons. I've got 3-1. Let us know what you've got. And again, we'll see you guys at BMO tomorrow.